But now to bring in Charles Hughes for more on GM. Charles Hughes is the head of Brand Rules. He's also the former chief executive of Mazda North America and the former CEO of Land Rover North America. He also did a stint as the head of marketing for Fiat as well as Volkswagen. Charles Hughes, welcome to Bloomberg. And how crucial is the success of this IPO to the success of GM as an automaker?
Well, I think there's a tremendous amount of enthusiasm out there. Pimm, my only problem is I'm having a hard time catching the wave just looking at GM and how it's positioned in the U.S. market.
What do you mean catching the wave? Because you don't think that they have the cars, the products that people want at the price points?
I think that they have made tremendous progress. So the products are the best they've ever been, and they're very competitive. But they still have an awful lot of work to sort out. Starting with, to begin with, there's still a lack of trust of General Motors in the U.S. market. Some of that stems from, years of selling very disappointing products. Some of that just from the old government motors mark that got put on them after they went into bankruptcy.
But if this is a company that is now going to be exiting from its public ownership, won't this then free up capital? More people will be investing in General Motors, and indeed the overseas divisions seem to be some of the most attractive assets in the global automobile world.
Well, that's certainly the way we would all hope it to go. But General Motors right now has to rebuild its reputation in the United States. It's in a lot of trouble in Europe. It's going very well for GM in China. But China is a market that's also changing right now, and it's going to be much harder for General Motors even to hold its share of marketplace in China, let alone grow it. So I'm not negative on the future of General Motors. I guess I'm sort of surprised by the amount of euphoria for where they are right at the moment.
So what does General Motors have to do, let's say, specifically in Europe, Charlie Hughes?
Well, I mean, in Europe, because they went through the disaster of first being sold and not being sold, et cetera, they're really in a basic brand building situation, particularly considering that you ended up with the situation in Germany where the unions wanted to have Opel divested from General Motors. There's just a lot of negativity surrounding the company and the Opel brand at this point in time. So they're in a sort of starting from beginning and let's rebuild our public profile. I think more importantly, though, as you look at General Motors, raising the helicopter up about 30,000 feet, is that they have not yet solved their leadership problems, and that's globally. And along with that, General Motors got into deep trouble because of decades of mismanagement, and they have deep cultural issues, which I don't think have been resolved yet either.
What's the biggest cultural issue, Charlie Hughes?
Well, I think the biggest cultural issue is having people understand that the name of the game in the car business is revenue, that we're not a bureaucracy, that we will not go on forever, that no matter what we do, people will buy our cars because, in fact, we've proven, the world has proven to them that if they build poor cars, the world will not buy them from them. So there's just a lot of time and proving out that has to take place. If you look at...
All right, we're going to continue the conversation. We've got more with Charlie Hughes, more on our GM special, Driving the Deal coverage. That's coming up. More about GM. That's Hughes. So talk about the marketing of GM and its automobiles. Is it doing the right thing right now?
Well, I think they're making progress. And Pimm, I want to say I think General Motors in total is making progress, but they're doing it in fits and starts, which you would expect after a company went through bankruptcy. So they've given themselves permission to build world-class products, and those are starting to come into the market. You're sitting in a showroom looking at them. If you look at the Cruise, for instance, it's a sensational vehicle. The marketing is getting better. With the arrival of Joel Iwanek, I think it's starting to make some sense. They still have a lot of work, though, to do in their basic messaging. It's not as direct and as attractive as, say, Ford One's message is. Ford One's a very direct advertising approach. The other thing I think is that as you look at their marketing, you have to ask whether 4 brands for the U.S. market is still the right number. Some would argue that it's still too many. And the reason why they would is the fact that mass market now is moving up market. So people are expecting more and more in a Chevrolet, which really squeezes out the need for something like Buick. And were they not to have Buick or GMC, it would allow them to focus even more effort on both Chevrolet and Cadillac, and not have Chevrolet bump up against Buick in terms of trim and some of the other things.
All right, well, Charlie Hughes, I'm going to actually get into a cruise a little bit later and check on your recommendations, your thoughts there about the automobile. But right now, does GM have the money that it's going to take in order for them to regain their prowess in the marketplace? I mean, with this initial public offering, it seems as though they're going to be pretty well heeled for a while.
Yeah, I think the financial engineering has been brilliant. So they're positioned well to make progress. The issue now lies with them, with their vision, with their leadership, and frankly, again, with the team, the culture, and how driven are they to be the best in the world.
Now, Charlie, as someone that has lived inside of automobile companies, is it that big of a deal that the head of GM isn't a car guy? This isn't where he cut his teeth. He's a finance guy.
Well, I have to tell a tale on myself with this one, but I would have said it is important until Alan Mulally walked in and proved all of us wrong. So I don't think he has to be a car guy, but I think he has to be very well suited for the situation, which means not only a great leader, but somebody who understands how to change a culture and is committed to changing that culture, which means, by the way, that they'll stay there for 5, 8, 10 years. Having the turnover at the top that you've had there, it keeps freezing people in their tracks. They don't know what's expected out of them at work. They don't quite know what the direction is. So you need to get a very visionary leader, and that person needs time and place to persuade people that he or she means it.
Now, Charlie Hughes, as someone that understands that brand rules in the marketplace, what about the green brand? Is that turning out to be just a marketing scheme, or does green really mean money when it turns into maybe the next generation who expect green vehicles?
Well, I think it does mean money, but I think the jury is out in terms of how far the market is going to shift or how much it's going to rush. I mean, right now we have a government that's supporting electric cars to the tune of $7,500 subsidy. That's a big subsidy. So time will tell. But I think there's something else playing out here as well, which is the car business, even though it had been evolving and improving incrementally, had probably become a pretty boring date. And so consumers always are looking for something fresh. Give me a reason to come into the market. Give me a reason to buy. Get me excited. And so vehicles like the Volt, which have all new technology, achieve just that. Now, admittedly, the car is expensive, but it's going to bring people in to take a look at it because they want to see what the new thing is.
And for you, what would be the new thing that you would need in an automobile to get excited? I mean, is there something that the car doesn't have right now that you want, Charlie Hughes?
Well, I think we're seeing the direction that all car companies are taking. I think Ford may be doing the best job with My Ford Touch, but which is a whole lot more seamless connectivity in a car. I mean, we all live, Pimm, you know this is true of your life, with cell phones and email and all these other things.
So you want to stay connected.
Well,
Charlie
everyone does.
Hughes coming to us as the Chief Executive of Brand Rules. Coming up more.